Welcome to Hollywood Actions. In this video, we're going to uncover classic Hollywood idols who were literally torn apart by scandals, studio exploitation, personal demons, or the merciless grind of fame itself. These were the stars who lit up the golden age silver screen but faced tragedies that destroyed their careers, reputations, and even lives. Now let's dive in. 1. Judy Garland. Judy Garland, the darling of MGM and the unforgettable Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, was manufactured for fame and then dismantled by it. The studios controlled every inch of her life, feeding her diet pills to stay thin, sleeping pills to rest, and uppers to stay energized. She was worked to the bone as a child star, and her adult life was consumed by addiction, failed marriages, and nervous breakdowns. By the time she died at just 47, her fortune was gone, her health was shattered, and Hollywood had discarded her. 2. Montgomery Clift. Clift was one of Hollywood's first sensitive, emotionally vulnerable male leads, often paired with Elizabeth Taylor. But after a devastating car crash in 1956 that disfigured his face, Clift became trapped in a spiral of self-loathing, addiction, and intense depression. He turned to alcohol and pills to numb the pain, and his career fell apart. He was once hailed as the next Brando. By the end, he was labeled Hollywood's slowest suicide. 3. Marilyn Monroe. Norma Jean Mortensen became Marilyn Monroe, the ultimate bombshell. But the world never saw her for who she truly was, a woman haunted by abandonment, abuse, and the pressures of being a sex symbol. Monroe's relationships, with Joe DiMaggio, Arthur Miller, and the rumored Kennedy brothers, ripped her apart emotionally. Hollywood discarded her when she became difficult. Her death at 36 remains a mystery, but what's clear is that Monroe was destroyed by the very dreams she helped create. 4. James Dean. James Dean's rebellion and raw magnetism made him an icon after only 3 films. But at just 24, he died in a violent car crash, his Porsche Spyder crumpled into pieces. He was physically torn apart, but even more haunting is how Hollywood immortalized him more for his death than his life. Dean became the ultimate tragic idol, forever young, forever haunted, and forever unfinished. 5. Jean Seabourg. Seabourg's innocent beauty in Breathless made her an icon. But when she supported civil rights causes and the Black Panther Party, she became a target of the FBI's COINTELPRO program. They spread false rumors that she was pregnant by a Black Panther member. The trauma drove her to attempt suicide, and when she lost her baby, she was never the same. Seabourg was found dead in her car in 1979, a victim of psychological warfare by her own government. 6. Veronica Lake. Veronica Lake's peekaboo hairstyle made her a wartime pin-up and an overnight sensation. But studio executives said she was difficult, and her career collapsed by the time she hit 30. She struggled with alcoholism, worked as a cocktail waitress, and died in obscurity and poverty, far from the golden lights of Hollywood. Her beauty had made her famous, but also made it impossible to be seen as anything more. 7. Sal Mineo. Sal Mineo starred opposite James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause and was one of the few actors in the 50s willing to take on emotionally complex and queer-coded roles. But his career stalled, and the rumors of his sexuality made Hollywood turn its back. In 1976, he was stabbed to death in an alleyway, just as he was planning a comeback. He was torn apart by a system that never fully accepted who he was. 8. Barbara Peyton. Barbara Peyton was a blonde bombshell who could have rivaled Monroe, but she became more famous for her alcoholism, prostitution, and explosive relationships. A love triangle between Peyton, Tom Neal, and Franket Tone turned violent, with Tone nearly beaten to death. Peyton descended into addiction and was found dead at 39. Her life became tabloid tragedy, and her legacy was one of ruin. 9. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn was the king of swashbuckling adventure, but behind the charm was a man consumed by alcohol, drug use, and sexual controversy. Flynn faced rape trials, rumors of relationships with underage girls, and public disgrace. His later years were a mess of lawsuits and deteriorating health. He died at 50 with his body ravaged, an idol devoured by excess. 10. Lupe Vez. Lupe Vez was a Mexican actress who made a splash in silent films but was treated as a stereotyped exotic beauty. She became a tabloid sensation more for her fiery personality than her work. When she became pregnant out of wedlock and feared scandal, she took her own life. Her death was mocked in tasteless jokes for decades. Hollywood used her image but discarded her soul. 11. Monty Woolly. Woolly was a respected stage and film actor known for The Man Who Came to Dinner, but he lived his entire life closeted, terrified of being exposed. He endured years of inner turmoil, repressing his identity in an industry where being gay meant blacklisting. He died a lonely man, celebrated professionally but torn apart by a life half-lived. 12. Clara Bo. The original It Girl, Clara Bo, was a silent film megastar whose charisma was unmatched. But she was also subject to some of the worst tabloid attacks in early Hollywood, accused of nude parties, incest, and more.